at Auditor General's Office, Maldives, Mr. Ahmed Salih ji, to please come up and occupy his revered seat on the dais. Now, I request a US foreign affairs professional who's leveraged his financial management and strategic expertise to advance American foreign policies with an emphasis on economic development programs. He is passionate about economic growth, trade issues, education, philanthropy, and financing economic development. Mr. Stéphane Laroche, Regional Council Controller, USAID India, to please join us on the dais. We welcome you, sir. Now it is time to invite the most important person of this technical session, the chairman and the moderator of the session, who has presented more than 1,000 technical papers and seminars and conferences within India and internationally. He has been the president of CAPA, Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants, past president definitely ICAI. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a thunderous applause to welcome none other than our very own CA Manoj Fadnis ji. We welcome you, sir. To set the ball rolling, I now request the respected Central Council Ma'am, Kemisha ji, to please set her opening remarks.
Very good morning. On behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, I welcome you all to the GLOPEC panel discussion on this dynamic subject, strengthening public financial management, building trust through accountability and transparency. I welcome session chair and moderator and person from my own city, CA Manoj Fadnis, past president CAPA and past president ICAI. I also welcome panelists of this panel discussion, Mr. Stéphane Laroche, Regional Controller, USAID India, Mr. Ahmed Salih, Council Member, CA Maldives, and Director of Technical Services and Research Department at Auditor General's Office, Maldives, Ms. Julitta, Senior Financial Management Specialist, ADB, Mr. Mohammed Humayun Kabir, FCA Council Member and past President, ICAI Bangladesh. I would like to begin by talking about the theme. Public financial management refers to the collection, management, and expenditure of public finances. And public financial management is centered to the growth of an economy, as it is essential to deliver sustainable and high quality public services that improve citizens' lives and build trust between government and citizens. As per IFAC, International Public Sector Financial Accountability Index 2021, that contains data from 165 jurisdictions, 30% of the jurisdictions had already adopted accrual-based accounting, and 40% of the jurisdictions adopted partial accrual, and 30% of governments still reporting on case basis. So in India, public financial management reform have evolved over decades. However, the fundamental changes are yet to be achieved, since the quality of financial statement impact the quality of various finance-related decisions. Financial reporting is vital ingredient of public financial management. And financial reporting is also important from accountability perspective. So the ecosystem of PFM is a mix of digitalization and manual intervention for various processes. In India, there are 3 tiers of government: central government, state government, and local self-government. And in India, the 11th and 12th Finance Commission have already recommended for adopting accrual accounting in Government of India. Subsequent also Finance Commissions have also endorsed the same. Though a few pilot studies have been conducted in a few government departments, however, accrual accounting is yet to be implemented in central and state governments in India, and many local bodies have shifted from cash basis to accrual basis of accounting. However, the accounting principle being followed by them are not aligned to the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, IPSAS, as of now. And IPSAS are internationally benchmark accounting standards for all level of governments. As per IFAC International Public Sector Accountability Index in 2020, 57% of jurisdictions were preparing their financial statement based on IPSAS. It is expected that by 2025, 73% of jurisdictions would be preparing their financial statement based on IPSAS. That is expected in even for by 80% by 2030. So the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, being a professional accounting body and member of IFAC, supports the accounting principle being formulated by IPSAS board and have been taking the IPSAS as base for formulating accrual-based accounting standards for local bodies. Till date, in India, 31 accounting standards for local bodies have been issued, including one case-based SLB to facilitate transition from case to accrual-based accounting system. However, the same are in recommendatory in nature currently, and the implementation related dialogue is continuously being undertaken with the concerned authorities in the government. However, the same is still at the very earliest stage. So ICAI is also member of Government Accounting Standard Advisory Board, that is GAZAB in India. So who has been formulating both case-based and as well as accrual-based accounting standard for central and state government in India. The inputs provided by the ICAI to the GAZAB on the accounting standard formulated by them are in line with the principle laid down by the IPSAS. So yet, despite the efforts of various stakeholders in the direction of improving and strengthening the financial reporting in government in India, as mentioned above, it is felt that current financial reporting does not contribute to the degree it could be. So in the scenario, the advocacy role of the ICAI, being a professional accounting body and a partner in nation building in the direction of PFM and accrual accounting reforms in government, assume high importance. Now, what is the role of accounting profession in particular this area? So accounting profession is committed to protect the public interest and encourage accountability and transparency from government around the world. They can support in strengthening PFMS, and accounting professional can play a number of significant role in PFMS. So many opportunities are also there, whether as advisor, consultant to governments, or as designer, implementer, executor, reporter, reviewer, or assurer. So they can assist in dialogue with the government also for decision making also they can help. So I hope that the deliberation held at the panel discussions would be beneficial to all concerns. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I now request the chairman, sir, to please set the tone of the session with his opening remarks and take the panel discussion forward.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning. Thanks to our Honorable President, Vice President for this excellent conference which is organized. And I join our distinguished council member, Kemisha ji, in extending a warm welcome to all the global panelists who are here this morning to deliberate on this very important subject. Ms. Kemisha has already set the ball rolling with a very interesting insight into how the importance of accrual system of accounting is there and the position which is there in India and worldwide. But friends, as we start these deliberations, you may wonder, looking at the number of people present in the auditorium. So these are the people, the elite people who on a Sunday morning found time to come here. And of course, now having come here, they can't go out. Only more people can come in. So we can go back home and say that by the time we started speaking and what we spoke, the word spread around in the city. So more and more people came in to listen to those deliberations. So with that optimistic thought process, public financial management systems, very important in world over, more particularly in context of developing nations, where the government still has an important role in terms of setting the basic infrastructure in place. The accrual system, the importance of accrual system can never be denied. And given that fact, it is still true that most of the governments are still on cash basis. One of the important reasons for being on cash basis is the convenience which it gives from the government's point of view, though it may not be correct from an accountant's perspective. And we have several disadvantages which are associated with the cash system of accounting. But the push is towards accrual system, and given that, hopefully over a period of time, the accounting would be on accrual system, so we have a more appropriate and more correct picture of the financial performance and financial position of the various government and local authority bodies. Having said that, one of the very important standards issued by IPSAS, which is still not being followed by most of the countries for which follow accrual system, is employee benefit standards. The kind of pension liabilities which are there on the governments being so high that it might, if accrual system is, if the actuarial valuations are carried out regarding the pension liabilities, it could put a very big, it would bring on the financial statements a very, very big chunk of financial load, which many governments still may not like to account for. So that is the way the development in the accounting side is taking place. The Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants carried out a study a few years ago, and I had the privilege of chairing this committee on public sector financial management in CAPA. 8 key elements were identified, and these continue to be relevant not just in the CAPA countries, but globally. And let me just quickly touch upon these 8 key elements, and I'm sure that will, in a way, set the ball rolling for our discussion. One is the need to have climate for reforms. In the government sector, this becomes important because of the various unavoidable political pressures which are there given the way the life goes on. Then to build a legal and institutional framework, and that is where the multilateral funding institutions like ADB and World Bank play a very key role in ensuring that the institutional framework is developed appropriately. The value systems. The governance and the value systems are very important in terms of setting the right kind of financial management. Then the capacity and capabilities. In many of the places, and this is true also in India, the people manning the accounting function at the lower level may not have that degree of competence to carry out an advanced system of accrual method of accounting and the associated issues along therewith. So building capacity and capability becomes very important. Then to have a robust fiscal policy framework, which is important to ensure a continuing basis for a proper financial management in the public sector. The next element which is identified is the performance management. So today, many institutions in the government are also talking about an output budget. So what was the objective with which that expenditure was incurred, and what is the final outcome of that? The Indian Railways, which is one of the very large networks employing a very large number of employees and serving the largest community of travelers worldwide, under the leadership of the then Minister for Railways, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, who happens to be a member of this profession, conducted an output budget in terms of what is the amount being spent and what is the actual expectation of that expenditure in terms of passenger safety, in terms of passenger comfort, in terms of saving the cost, so on and so forth. So performance management is a key aspect in public sector financial management, and scrutiny and assurance. So assurance function where we as professional accountants in our capacity as auditors come in, and the government auditors play an important role. The final element is the reporting. So these are 8 key elements which CAPA had identified and put them as key elements for public sector financial management systems, and which continue to be relevant as things develop everywhere. So I would request each of the panelists, 2 of them have presentations. We have sufficient time in terms of deliberations, and I'm sure their insight into this subject will help us to understand and to deliberate on the various aspects contained therein. We have 2 panelists who have global perspectives, and 2 panelists from a SAFA region who would bring in the regional perspective to the discussion. So may I request Mr. Stephen for his presentation.
One second, everybody. We just got to get the presentation loaded. Okay, good morning again, everybody. My name is Stéphane Laroche. I'm the regional controller for USAID India. I'm based in Delhi, and I work with an incredible team that covers USAID portfolios in India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. It is a great pleasure for me to be here today to take part in this Global Professional Accountant Convention this weekend. And big kudos to ICAI for putting together such a wonderful event. I also want to give a special shout out to my colleagues, Anu, Alankar, Jayashree, and Jyoti, whose efforts definitely made this event possible today. And this morning, I'm excited to share a few points with you on how USAID contributes to strengthening public financial management around the world. I will first introduce briefly USAID and elements of PFM as we see it. Then I'll give you some highlight on key expectation of the accounting profession. Then I'll discuss some of USAID's contributions to public financial management thus far and give you a hint of some initiatives that are in the works. First, let me give you a quick overview of what USAID is and does. USAID is the lead development agency for the US government, and USAID works with more than 4,000 organizations in over 100 countries around the world to implement development and humanitarian goals. And those partnerships with those 4,000 organizations, they take different shapes and forms and are in different sectors, such as public, private, government, international NGOs, small and local NGOs, religious organizations, universities, and so forth. And global shared economic prosperity and achieving sustainable development goals are central elements of USAID's partnerships with those organizations. And USAID works extremely hard to ensure that its assistance reaches the end users. And reaching the end user is one area where accountants have a big role to play in providing financial oversight and ensuring that internal controls work. Now we're going to dive a little bit more into what USAID, how USAID sees its work with some of these organizations on the ground. So over the years, USAID has evolved, and now we realize it's become critical to stress that progress moves beyond funded programs, and that inclusivity is central in the quest for sustainable development goal, which is something that we all want to accomplish around the world. And progress beyond programs drives collective action and deliver progress beyond USAID funded activities, thanks in great part to USAID's combining power, global footprint, standing in multilateral institutions such as the ADB and private sector links. USAID is creating a sustainable development model that emphasizes local ownership, science and technology, innovation, partnerships, and measuring results. And our USAID administrator, Administrative Power, which is our highest ranking official, noted that if we truly want to make partnerships inclusive, local voices need to be at the center of everything we do. Now that I've given a very high level overview of what USAID is, let's talk about public financial management from the perspective of USAID. We see public financial management accomplishing several things that can be grouped into three critical objectives. Public financial management is about ensuring that public spending is in line with available resources. And failure to achieve this objective will jeopardize macroeconomic stability. Public financial management is also about providing necessary tools for effective allocation of resources between different expenditures in pursuit of different desired development objectives. So that means it entails the strategic shifting of resources from less effective uses to more effective uses. And lastly, PFM is about establishing an environment in which scarce government resources are used in such a way that they provide maximum value for money. In summary, PFM facilitates the collection, allocation, and use of public resources responsively, efficiently, and effectively to accomplish key public policy objectives while minimizing waste of scarce resources through poor resource allocation and inefficient management. Achieving those critical objectives will get us to two broad results. First, they will promote transparency in government, budget preparation, and accountability in treasury management. And second, they will ensure that resources reach the true end users, which is something that USAID really focuses on and some of our partners really value a lot. Why does USAID care about PFM? You may be asking yourself. We are a bilateral donor organization. Well, to USAID, successful development depends in large part on the efficiency, integrity, and effectiveness with which a country raises, manages, and expends its public resources. Improved public financial management is at the core of good governance and lies at the heart of the sustainable development goals. Improving a country's public financial management system, including public procurement, enables it to better manage its public resources. Improving formal and informal rules, institutions that govern these activities, while strengthening the related human and technological capabilities, are part of USAID's development approach. Therefore, public financial management is key to USAID's work, whether it's a large infrastructure activity to tackle climate change or a basic health services delivery in a small municipality. And from what USAID sees, having a strong public financial management really brings in accountants to play a critical role in that. And professional accountants and public accountancy organizations have to be forward-leaning to ensure that PFM systems work. So we expect that professional accountants, such as those who are present at the conference this weekend, they will aim to set up strong financial management systems with strong emphasis on implementing reliable and quality financial reporting standards. And professional accountants will also prioritize risk management in audit management, and they have to abide by high ethical and technical standards in protection of the public interest. We also see professional accountants remaining updated on international standards and collaborating on a global scale to maintain international standards, as this wonderful convention is attempting to do this weekend, and as Minister Goyal mentioned in his Friday inaugural address. And we also see professional accountancy organizations playing a critical role in PFM. While accountants are working on the nuts and bolts of the accountancy profession, USAID sees professional accountancy organizations nurturing the ecosystem in which professional accountants thrive. So PAOs will play a vital role in the development of competent and capable accountancy professionals with the knowledge and skills to contribute to strong financial management. We also expect PAOs to adopt and implement high-quality international standards and provide sound public policy guidance to relevant stakeholders. And PAOs will play an important role in strengthening public and private sector accountancy, providing high-quality financial management and reporting, and promoting and enhance transparency and accountability. And now we're going to discuss what USAID has done to strengthen the accountancy profession and public financial management systems around the world. And we see them as, we group them in partnerships, memorandum of understanding we have signed, how we formalize these MOUs, and support that we provide to in-country financial management through our actions. First, the USAID CFO represents USAID at the International Federation of Accountants, and also USAID CFO serves as the USAID's representative to the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions Donor Steering Committee, which is the highest forum of INTOSAI on donor collaboration with a focus to make sustainable support of supreme audit institutions at a country level. Also, the USAID CFO serves as USAID's representative to the International Financial Reporting for Nonprofit Organizations Donor Reference Group. It is commonly known as IFR for NPO, and it is an initiative that is aiming to develop the world's first internationally applicable financial reporting guidance for nonprofit organizations. And USAID is an integral member of the well-known Mosaic, which is an MOU between IFAC, USAID, Gavi, the Global Fund, and those partners, they aim to contribute to developing best-in-class professional accountants who primarily operate in the public health sector, given the significant amount of public resources that go in public health sector. And lastly, USAID has a memorandum of understanding with the Government Accountability Office Center for Audit Excellence, which is a US government entity that collaborates with supreme audit institutions around the world on knowledge sharing to ensure that all these SAIs that want to collaborate with GAO have the most updated tools so that they themselves can ensure that public resources in their respective countries are well spent. And now I'm going to give you a few in-country level collaboration between USAID and other partners. And first, let's look at engagement with supreme audit institutions. So early in the year, USAID engaged through INTOSAI with supreme audit institutions in Belize, Benin, Dominica, Haiti, Honduras, Kyrgyzstan, Lebanon, and Tajikistan. And those SAIs, INTOSAI, worked together on an initiative that was funded by INTOSAI Development Initiative to ensure that these SAIs of those countries I mentioned have the tools needed to continue to be stronger SAIs. And USA was a key player in ensuring that INTOSAI had the resources to get this on the ground. Also early in the year, there was a USAID team that represented the agency CFO at SAI 20 last June, which is India's flagship G20 event on SAI. Also early in the year, the agency CFO sent a team to the Pan-African Federation of Accountants to further the collaboration on enhancing quality of accountancy services in Africa. Also, USAID has piloted implementation of the Mosaic partnership in West Africa, which aims to strengthen capacity of accounting professionals in several West African countries. Also, USAID has joined IFAC last year in West Africa again to ensure that our in-country collaboration are aligned to avoid duplication of efforts, the way that in how IFAC and USAID are trying to support professional accountants. And lastly, USAID in Sri Lanka has partnered with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka to train several accounting and auditing professionals on Sri Lanka's public sector accounting standards. Again, this is a very light sample of what USAID has done over the years in the space of PFM. And looking ahead, there are several efforts on the way for USAID to contribute to developing the capacity of supreme audit institutions. Also, USAID is furthering its collaboration with the Pan-African Federation of Accountants to ensure that both SAIs and accountants have tools to continue to be able to further themselves, to develop themselves so that they can support their SAIs and public accountancy organizations around the world. And lastly, USAID looks forward to collaborating with the South Asian Federation of Accountants in the region. And in summary, the main takeaways are USAID is full speed ahead in advancing inclusive development and progress beyond programs to bolster sustainability. We see PFM as an important component to reach sustainable development goals. And lastly, USAID has and will continue to be very active in elevating the accountancy profession. So thank you again for listening to me. Thank you to ICAI to inviting us to this panel, and we look forward to your questions.
So thank you for that wonderful presentation. You made very important observations with respect to your expectations from professional accountancy organizations as well as professional accountants, and we'll get some time to discuss that later on. Meantime, may I request Mr. Ahmed Salih for your presentation, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and fellow professionals, very good morning to you all. I would like to highlight the role played by professional accountants in strengthening public financial management. So, as we know this, we are in an era characterized by economic challenges and increasing demands for transparency and accountability. The role of accountants has never been more critical. Some of my colleagues have already given some insights into what public financial management refers to. From an accountant's perspective, I'm also going to talk about public financial management. It involves effective utilization and management of public funds for the benefit of society as a whole. And it encompasses budgeting, revenue collection, expenditure management, accounting, and financial reporting. It is also important for sustainable economic development, promoting social welfare and building trust between governments and their citizens. So professional accountants play a vital role in this process because professional accountants, they possess the expertise and ethical standards necessary to ensure that public funds are managed efficiently, economically, and effectively, and also in compliance with laws and regulations. So let me highlight a few areas where professional accountants can contribute to strengthening public financial management. First and foremost, professional accountants are responsible for establishing robust financial systems and controls. They help design and implement accounting systems that provide accurate, reliable, and timely financial information. These systems help governments make informed decisions, evaluate the effectiveness of public programs, and identify areas for improvement. Secondly, accountants are instrumental in promoting transparency and accountability. They ensure that financial transactions are properly recorded, financial statements are prepared in accordance with applicable financial reporting standards. Through this transparency, which results from the application of financial reporting standards, enables citizens, policymakers, and other stakeholders to assess how public funds are being utilized and hold the governments to account for stewardship of public resources. Furthermore, accountants play a vital role in budgeting and resource allocation. They provide valuable insights into financial implications of public policy decisions and help governments allocate resources effectively. By analyzing costs, risks, and benefits, accountants contribute to the development of sustainable budgets that address societal needs and promote long-term fiscal stability. So far, I have discussed about the technical skills of accountants. In addition to technical skills of accountants, professional accountants also bring a strong ethical framework to public financial management. They comply with professional codes of conduct that emphasize integrity, objectivity, and independence. These ethical principles instill public trust and confidence in the financial management process, ensuring that decisions are based on the best interest of society rather than personal gain. Furthermore, accountants are at the forefront of combating fraud, corruption, and financial mismanagement. They conduct audits, investigations, and risk assessments to identify irregularities and safeguard public resources. Their work helps detect and prevent financial misconduct, ensuring that public funds are used for their intended purposes and not for personal gain. However, it is important to recognize that the role of accountants extends beyond technical expertise and ethical conduct. They must also possess strong communication, collaboration, and coordination skills, because accountants often have to work closely with policymakers, government officials, and other stakeholders to provide financial advice, promote good governance practices, and foster a culture of accountability. To conclude, the role of professional accountants in strengthening public financial management cannot be overstated. They are the guardians of financial integrity, transparency, and accountability in the public sector. Through their technical expertise, ethical behavior, and collaborative approach, accountants contribute to the effective management of public funds. They promote sustainable development and help build trust between governments and citizens. As we navigate the complex challenges of an increasingly uncertain world, let us recognize and appreciate the pivotal role professional accountants play in shaping our financial future. Together, we can build a world where public finances are managed with the highest standards of professionalism, transparency, and accountability. Thank you very much for listening to my speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. Very rightly, you have highlighted the role of professional accountants in strengthening the financial management systems. Thank you very much for your lucid presentation. May I now request Ms. Irene for her presentation?
It's okay. Yeah, I can use it. Good morning. Thank you for the Institute of Chartered Accountants for organizing this magnificent conference. Thank you, Kemisha from the Council for inviting the Asian Development Bank. Thank you, Chair, for very valuable comments, some of which resonates with my presentation and my fellow panelists. From the Asian Development Bank, we just want to make some points that would be very relevant from a financial management perspective, not just to be effective at the moment, but also looking forward to the future challenges of the government. So I would just quickly present the vision and strategy of the ADB, the development challenges that we are facing in the Asia and the Pacific region, but more importantly, the role of financial management specialists and the FM accountants, and what has to evolve and change in our profession to support governments, and how accounting bodies and chartered accountants can play an important role. So from ADB's vision for the Asia Pacific region is to build a prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable Asia and the Pacific. And there are 7 operational priorities which ADB has identified to actually help with this vision. One is to reduce the remaining poverty, and about 550 million people in the Asia Pacific region are below the poverty line. Second is to ensure there's equality of access irrespective of gender and any barriers. Third is climate change, and this is the biggest challenge, and I'll come to that, how accountants can play an important role in helping governments tackle climate change. Fourth is making cities livable, and this is ensuring access to safe drinking water, all basic necessities of life, and also sustainability of the environment and the local communities. Fifth is to promote food security, ensuring agriculture, food chain systems work to support humanity. And most importantly, the sixth one is strengthening governance and institutional capacity. Finally is regional cooperation, which is more inter-regional cooperation for economic prosperity. So if I just look at what is the challenges ahead for Asia and the Pacific, climate change is the biggest challenge. Asia and the Pacific is one of the most vulnerable regions in the world for climate change. On average, about $200 million is lost just on climate events. And the number of people who are also exposed to climate change in the region is also increasing, including climate migrants. In addition, Asia Pacific region contributes more than 50% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the world, which is also impacting the climate. And then 85% of energy used in the Asia Pacific region comes from fossil fuel. So Asian Development Bank, together with the government, is working to transition to a just energy system and to also enable this climate change to be managed and to mitigate and adapt the consequences of that. And accountants have a critical role in this. Second is the challenge to recover from the COVID pandemic. Many of the economies had suffered a setback to their financial position because of the pandemic. And third is to spur momentum on the sustainable development goals, which also had stagnated or deteriorated in some areas during the COVID pandemic. So what does it mean in terms of development financing? Estimates put it that trillions of dollars are needed over the next 10 years to tackle these challenges. And governments are increasing their own resources at all levels. Multilateral development banks have adjusted their capital adequacy framework so that they can lend more from the existing resources. And the private sector, also we are leveraging and partnering with the private sector for public investments. So as all my panelists before me had alluded to, role of public financial management is critical to ensure transparency and accountability, ensure funds are spent for the purposes intended efficiently and effectively, and that creates a virtuous cycle for more funding to tackle more development challenges. But I want to emphasize on the changing landscape of financial management, and I want to touch on 6 different points that are very critical for financial management. And today I see there are not many chartered accountants in this session, but I think chartered accountants have a critical role in helping the government tackle these challenges. First is green public financial management. I think you must have heard this terminology. When it says green, it means everything from having budget considerations take into climate factors. So starting with the fiscal framework, they identify the climate factors and climate risk in the fiscal framework. Then they bring it down to medium-term expenditure framework where they budget for preventing disasters, mitigating disasters, as well as responding to disasters. And then throughout budget execution, reporting, and then auditing as well. So climate responsive PFM is an important area. Another part of that, which I think is happening in the other side of the room, is the sustainability reporting. So that is one aspect of climate PFM, but climate PFM means governments are able to prepare for climate change, mitigate the cost of climate, as well as also adapt to climate change. And this is a very important aspect where the accountants have a role to play with the skill sets that they bring from a financial perspective. Second is the gender responsive budgeting or gender responsive PFM. This does not necessarily mean women and children. It basically means that all members of the society are included and considered when budget policies are formulated. Sometimes there's unconscious bias in government budgeting where they may inadvertently not be able to provide the optimal services to marginalized communities. And what happens is, through gender responsive budgeting, you provide data analytics or gender disaggregated data where policymakers, when they decide on budget policies, they consider these factors and specifically address them and target them. And this is an important consideration if we want to have an inclusive prosperity that is shared by everyone. Third aspect is subnational governments. So service delivery now is not just at the central level, it's moving to state and local governments. And as we all know, sometimes the financial management capacity in lower levels are not as robust and strong as you might find at the central level. So increasingly, this is important if local governments are to be sustainable financially. If they want to raise funds globally, they need to be transparent from a public financial management perspective. And accountants, again, have a role in that, helping that. And fourth one, I know the chair alluded to this, and it's a very important topic for me as well, performance accountability. In my role as an associate director in New South Wales Treasury, this is something that I worked on for 10 years. It is no longer sufficient for governments to just account for what they spent. They also have to account for what they achieved with that. And this is where output budgeting and outcome budgeting, output monitoring and reporting is important. And this again starts with the budgeting phase where you identify how much money you're allocating for something and how much are you achieving for that. So it's not enough to say $5 billion for education, 20,000 new teachers. Are the educational outcomes for children improving? And you have to have an indicator for that and you have to report on that. And that is what's called outcome budgeting and outcome monitoring. It has different forms and shapes. But in New South Wales, in Australia, they introduced some aspects of this. And I understand in India too, they have introduced outcome budgeting. The other one is taking it a step further is measuring the progress and well-being. So this is something that started recently where they say even outcomes are not sufficient. Is the quality of life of the people in the country, are they having safe air to breathe? Are they having access to good healthcare? These are also important aspects. New Zealand government and Australian government have started introducing these indicators in their budget papers so that they can track and report. And accountants have a role to play here as well. Finally is transparency, disclosure, and citizen engagement. We cannot underscore the importance of this. Citizens have to be involved during even the policy formulation phase. And also transparency of the budget and the fiscal impact of certain policies have to be made to the public. An experience that I would like to share from Australia is when during the election campaign, when the parties make election promises, these are costed by Treasury. So as finance professionals sitting in Treasury, we cost every election promise, whether it's a road to be built, a bridge to be built, or a school. We cost it and we say what is the impact on the budget. current and the long term. And this brings about transparency because once the government comes into power, they have to account for these things. So these are some progressive steps that are happening in some OECD countries, not everywhere I know, but this brings about transparency and disclosure, and accountants have a role to play. So in terms of how accountants can help, we can start with the budgeting, like identifying the risk, whether it be climate risk, whether it be gender, it could be anything. We also could move on to helping with public investment management. So no, not just looking at the cost, but also looking at the benefits, the financial benefits of building a road and so on. Budget execution, internal controls and internal audits play a part. Financial reporting and disclosure is important. And public asset management. Now, this is very, very critical because in every country, the biggest asset owner is the government. They own the bridges, roads, and so on. But these are not brought into the books of the government. And as the chair alluded to, pension liabilities, when they come into the books under accrual accounting, you need to also bring the assets so that you know what is the public net worth of a government. So it's an important thing to manage and maintain your assets, not just at the central, state, but even at the local government level. Auditing is an important thing because that provides transparency, both financial and performance auditing, and then continuing professional development. So sessions like this where you can learn about new ways that the public accountants can help the public financial management system. So I'd like to leave you with one thought. So accountants have a role to play, not just ensuring PFM is effective, because effectiveness ensures transparency and accountability, but that also PFM evolves to enable governments to respond to emerging issues like climate change so that they measure and manage what matters to the people. That's it. Thank you.
So thank you very much for highlighting more particularly the climate change related issues and the matters relating to green funding and how it has an importance in the public financial management system. Thank you so much. And while we move on to our last panelist, Mr. Kabir, we'll have some time left for a couple of few quick questions after your presentation is over.
Good morning. Thank you, session chair, the fellow panelist. Let me start where Irene has left. Truly, I do not have any presentation. I love to always speak, extempo. That I'll do. I assure you within time I will finish. The very much tone when our today's from the ICAI, the first speaker, she started the tone. Very much absence of accrual accounting defeat the purpose of public finance management system. Until and unless this is being recognized by the donors, by the politicians, by the bureaucrat, it will be just a matter of accountants people, they are what I will say that we are talking, it will never give the true result. Let me recall when International Financial Federation of Accountants, they have 7 SMOs. Many of accountants probably or I'm sure the counselor of the respective POs, they know it very well. Because this meeting of this membership obligation is very important. SMO 5, it says that the respective institution or institute or POs will make best endeavor, quote unquote, best endeavor to promote, to get implemented the IFSASs, that is, which is basically the accrual accounting process that has to be implemented. In Bangladesh context, because since I have been asked to be regional context, as early as 2008, our institute have a MOU with our Supreme Audit Institution. That remain a paperwork. And we made the compliance to the SMO because we took the best endeavor to implement it. That will be a paperwork. Nothing is there. But yes, this donor agencies, when they come through Supreme Audit Institution directly or issue indirect finance through the various means process, there is an impact. In Bangladesh, it is not just a one-day beginning, as early as 90s and before that. Gradually, and we are a unitary form of government, unlike India, it is a big state. Obviously, throughout the country, we have Union Parishad, we have sub-district we call Upuzela and Jila Parishad. When the fund is being allocated from the central budget, we from the institute and through some donor agencies, we work together, collaborated with the Supreme Audit Institute because they do not have enough resources. They do not have enough quality, competent people. Therefore, our institute extended hand to get those monies going from the center, they are spending and how they are reporting, that get that audited. That is one of the example, the institute, that is profession, and our Supreme Institution has cooperated, collaborated. That had a good result, but later on it has been discontinued. You understand, that is another way how when there is not continued or the capacity building is not accepted as a necessity, then it has become a temporary phenomenon. That is one challenge. After having the challenges, later on, obviously the Supreme Institution, they asked for our help, particularly they formulated when our present government, they started coming in 2009 with the slogan of Digital Bangladesh. And for that matter, as already said, the public finance is two ways. One is the raising fund, that is the revenue, and how you are going to use that revenue. And because of revenue leakage, and particularly for the land taxes, we have been inherited from the British trust, that has been by now has been totally digitalized. And that has other areas too. And beginning from the land revenue and government, earlier you see those are budget preparer and monitorer and the controller accountant office, CAG office, they used to maintain separately. And year end that need a long time reconciliation. Year after there will be always a difference of the budgetary implementation processes are never reconciled. So therefore there is an integrated process was evolved through the digitization process, what the scheme known as IBAS, integrated budgeting and accounting system. That has given a good result because of now the reconciliation process is much more easier. Wide gap is not, still there is some reconciliation left behind, but it is the wide gap has become reduced. Hopefully, with the matter of time, this will improve the further situation. Third impact is in the revenue administration. Together with our institute, we have my council colleague, my president is here. We work together with as a national hub of developing all the audited financial statement, and using those financial statement, the revenue leakage has been aiming to be minimum. That we are working together with the National Board of Revenue. That is also the collaboration between the profession and the government side is there. It is being continued, the effort is there. So with our experience, good and bad, the collaboration and cooperation with the government organization, the profession, it has some positive impact. Only where necessary, if it is discontinued, I look forward the donor agencies, they will understand it so that the project is continued until and unless the government bureaucracy have that enough competency in that direction. So the point came again to accrual accounting. It is said is the pension scheme that has derailed in 2008. Many of the advanced economy, including the USA, they are suffering. We know that. But even then, the lesson has been learned by this I would say political and bureaucracy as a together. The reason I am emphasizing on this accrual thing, now many of the countries, including our brotherly nation, Sri Lanka recently faced an issue, and in Bangladesh right now, we have within less than 24 months, our foreign currency reserve just depleted from 48 billion to less than 20 billion. then you can imagine this is the short gap, or again, the necessity of not having the accrual system. Because when we are receiving the fund, just keeping a inflow and outflow, that is not enough. Failing to recognize the asset and liabilities, not only there, the impact of messing your asset and liability is very important. Without accrual system, you cannot have that. Asset liability messing is important phenomena. It is a time to make this understand the profession, taking it with the politicians and the bureaucracy, that it is the time now to learn the lesson from others. When the bigger nation like in this country like India, if similar situation happen within less than 2 years or less than that time, if you have depletion of foreign currency reserve, what havoc will create in the global financial system. That thing we have to realize. When I'm discussing, I really give credit to the ICAI having this a very important issue, national issue, and as an outcome of this discussion deliberation, we should follow up the matter. With having this submission, if you have follow-up question, I'm ready to give you answer. And without a bookish knowledge, I give the practical aspect of the thing, what we have been experienced last 40 years in my career. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Humayun Kabir, for your for sharing the lot of work which the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh has done with the Supreme Audit Institution there. And as you noted, there are so many other initiatives which the CA Institute in India has taken on the same lines. As we close this session, in case there is any question from the public, from the audience, yes, we'll have one and at the most 2 questions. Over to you.
Thank you for a wonderful session. I am CA Shilpa Bhatia from Pune, and I'm associated with actually World Bank aided state government projects. So I had a question over here that for the panels, how can seeing the presence of the chartered accountants over here, we know that awareness is not that regarding this area. So just wanted to know that how can we get on the panels through institute or directly ADB, USAID or anywhere, that how do we participate more, understand more, that how can we contribute and benefit from regarding this area?
Well, I'm sure this would be a question which many members may share. And since we have a member in the panel from ADB, but you can always go to their website and see the various opportunities which come, and they have regular mailers which come to you if you subscribe to that. And that would give you the various opportunities which are available to individuals and firms to participate in the various ongoing projects of the funding agencies in the country. Anything specific which anyone would like to add to that? If you would like to speak. Okay. So generally, I mean, these are matters which are available there. One question to the panel, and I think we'll just take one question. Important aspect which was brought out is the changing paradigm of the public financial management systems, the importance of how we as individual professional accountants can contribute to the growth of a robust public financial management systems. The new aspect which is being talked about and which came up also in today's discussion is the climate change matters relating to climate change, the accounting, the funding. There are a lot of green funds which are there, as they are called the green funds which are meant only for the green projects, non-pollutant projects. So anything you would like to add to the role of accountants in terms of this aspect? Would you like to, if anyone would like to speak? Yeah.
I think it's very important to monitor the spending on climate change, and also to have robust external audit systems relating to climate change finance. For example, in our organization, as Supreme Audit Institution of the Maldives, we have environmental audit function, which carries out environmental audits of the monitoring of biodiversity, other areas like land reclamation aspects, and also the environmental impact assessments, whether they are done on a regular basis for the various infrastructure projects. So
I'm sure, I mean, there is a lot where
Yeah.
the professional accountants can contribute to the building the framework, the accounting and the auditing, and in terms of the green fundings which are taking place. So with the IMOC back on the podium, I take the clue. Thank you very much to all the four panelists and to our council member Kemisha for making this session very interesting and live. Thank you. Back
Thank
to
you so much, the chairman, sir, for respecting my presence here on the stage. As we bring this insightful session of professional excellence, strengthening public financial management, building trust through accountability and transparency to a close, I'm honored to extend our sincerest thanks to the distinguished panel who has made this event a resounding success. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to the dignitaries on the dais. Your presence has added immense value to our discussions, and your contribution have left an indelible mark on us. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to present mementos to our distinguished dignitaries on the dais. For the same, would like to request and call upon respected Central Council member Abhay Kumar Chajarji to please come up and present a memento to the chairman of the session, CA Manoj Fadnis, sir. I request Kemisha ma'am to join them. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Now I request CA Prasanna Kumar D, sir, respected Central Council member, to please come up and present a memento to Stéphane Laroche, sir. Mrs. Stéphane Laroche and Prasanna Kumar, sir. I now request respected Central Council member Durgesh Kumar Kapra ji to please come up and present a memento to Mr. Ahmed Salih. I now request respected Central Council member Rajendra Kumar P, sir, to please come up and present a memento to Mr. Julitta Ponniah ji. May these small mementos serve a small gesture of our gratitude for the invaluable contributions today. I now request respected Central Council member Sanjay Kumar Agrawal ji to please come up and present a memento to Muhammad Humayun Kabir, sir. I request the dignitaries to be on the dais for a group photograph. Sir Prasanna, sir. Sir, I request Central Council Member Umesh Sharma ji to please come up for the group photograph. You have to let me know it is me who has to call him. Thank you once again to everyone.